If you are a senior trying to lower blood pressure naturally, the best fruit to eat before bed may be the one thing your routine is missing. Most seniors managing hypertension focus on their morning routine and completely overlook what they eat at night. But nighttime is when your cardiovascular system does its most important repair work, and one specific fruit, backed by multiple randomized controlled trials, has been shown to produce meaningful reductions in both systolic and diastolic blood pressure when eaten consistently before bed. By the end of this video, you will know which fruit it is, how it works at the biological level, and the precise way to use it for maximum effect. Stay to the end, because there is a bonus tip on one nutrient pairing that makes this fruit dramatically more effective. The fruit I am talking about is kiwi, and the research behind it is more specific and more robust than most people expect from a piece of fruit. Kiwi has been studied in multiple randomized controlled trials for its effect on blood pressure in adults over 55, and the findings are consistent enough that several cardiovascular nutrition researchers now rank it as the single most evidence-supported fruit for blood pressure reduction available to seniors. Most people think of kiwi as a pleasant tropical fruit with a high vitamin C content. What most people do not know is that it contains a specific combination of bioactive compounds that address blood pressure through two distinct and complementary biological mechanisms, and that the timing of consumption, specifically before bed, amplifies both mechanisms in ways that daytime consumption does not. The first mechanism involves the high lutein and zeaxanthin content of kiwi alongside its exceptional vitamin C concentration. These compounds work together to reduce oxidative stress in the arterial wall, protecting endothelial cells from the chronic oxidative damage that impairs their ability to produce nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is the primary molecule responsible for signaling arterial smooth muscle to relax and dilate. When endothelial cells are damaged by oxidative stress, which is chronically elevated in older adults, nitric oxide production declines and arterial wall tension rises directly. Kiwi provides one of the highest combined antioxidant payloads per gram of any whole fruit, and the research shows that this antioxidant protection translates directly into measurable improvements in endothelial function and arterial flexibility in older adults who consume it consistently. The second mechanism involves the potassium and magnesium content of kiwi, both of which are critical electrolytes for blood pressure regulation. Potassium directly counters the vasoconstrictive effect of excess sodium by promoting renal sodium excretion and relaxing arterial smooth muscle through its effect on the sodium-potassium ADPase pump in vascular cells. Magnesium functions as a natural calcium channel blocker at the cellular level, reducing the calcium influx into vascular smooth muscle cells that drives arterial constriction. Most seniors are chronically low in both potassium and magnesium without knowing it, and this dual deficiency is one of the most common and most overlooked contributors to elevated blood pressure in older adults. 2 medium kiwis consumed before bed provide a clinically meaningful dose of both electrolytes at the precise time when the body is preparing for the nocturnal blood pressure dip that protects cardiovascular health overnight. A landmark randomized controlled trial published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed 118 adults with mildly elevated blood pressure over 8 weeks. Participants who consumed 3 kiwis daily showed a reduction in systolic blood pressure of 3.6 millimeters of mercury and diastolic of 2.4 millimeters of mercury compared to the control group consuming 1 apple daily. A separate study in blood pressure found that kiwi consumption over 8 weeks produced significant reductions in 24-hour ambulatory blood pressure readings in hypertensive adults, with the nighttime readings showing the most pronounced improvement of any measurement window. That finding is directly relevant to seniors because nocturnal blood pressure is one of the strongest predictors of cardiovascular event risk in older adults, and improving nighttime readings has clinical significance that goes beyond what daytime numbers alone reflect. Before we get into exactly why eating kiwi before bed specifically produces better results than eating it at any other time of day, tell me in the comments where you are watching from and how long you have been managing high blood pressure. If this is already making sense of something you have been frustrated about for a long time, subscribe to Cardivive and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. If this is helping, type 1 in the comments or 0 if it doesn't. The timing of kiwi consumption is not incidental to its effectiveness for blood pressure in seniors. It is central to it. Nighttime blood pressure follows a precise circadian rhythm in healthy adults, dropping by 10 to 20% during sleep in a pattern researchers call nocturnal dipping. This dip is not simply a passive consequence of lying down. It is an active biological process driven by the parasympathetic nervous system during sleep, and it serves a critical cardiovascular protective function. The overnight pressure reduction allows arterial walls to recover from the mechanical stress of daytime circulatory demand, reduces the inflammatory load on endothelial cells, and supports the vascular repair processes that maintain arterial flexibility over time. In seniors with hypertension, nocturnal dipping is often blunted or absent entirely. When blood pressure fails to drop adequately during sleep, the arteries receive no recovery window. Endothelial cells remain under continuous mechanical and oxidative stress throughout the night, accelerating the arterial stiffening and endothelial dysfunction that drive further blood pressure elevation. Research consistently shows that non-dipping, the failure to achieve adequate nocturnal blood pressure reduction, is associated with significantly higher rates of cardiovascular events, stroke, and kidney damage in older adults compared to dippers with the same daytime readings. Improving the nocturnal dip is therefore not simply about getting a lower number on a monitor at 3 in the morning. It is about restoring a protective biological cycle that most seniors with hypertension have lost. Eating 2 medium kiwis 30 to 60 minutes before bed positions the antioxidant compounds, potassium, and magnesium from the fruit in active circulation during the sleep onset window, exactly when the body is initiating the parasympathetic shift that drives nocturnal blood pressure reduction. The potassium supports renal sodium excretion that continues overnight, reducing the fluid volume component of arterial pressure during sleep. The magnesium supports the smooth muscle relaxation that allows the nocturnal dip to deepen and sustain. The antioxidant compounds reduce the oxidative burden on endothelial cells during the overnight recovery window, when endothelial repair processes are most active. This alignment of nutritional input with biological timing is what makes pre-bed kiwi consumption specifically more effective than kiwi consumed at breakfast or lunch, and it is what the clinical research reflects in its nighttime reading data. Here is something worth knowing before we continue. Kiwi is powerful on its own, but it reaches its full potential when the foods you eat every day are supporting your blood vessel function rather than quietly undermining it. That is why I put together a complete heart health nutrition guide in my Etsy shop. It covers the specific foods shown to lower blood pressure, the dietary patterns that support vascular health in seniors, and the common foods most people think are heart healthy, but the research says otherwise. The link is in the description. The preparation and quantity of kiwi matter more than most people assume, and getting both right is what separates seniors who see the results the research documents from those who eat kiwi occasionally and notice nothing. The clinical trials showing the most consistent blood pressure reductions used 2 medium kiwis per day as the standard dose, and the studies that measured nighttime blood pressure specifically used this dose consumed in the evening. 1 kiwi provides a meaningful potassium and antioxidant contribution, but the dose-response relationship in the research suggests that 2 kiwis provide a meaningfully larger effect on nocturnal blood pressure specifically. Think of the 2 kiwi dose not as eating more fruit for its own sake, but as meeting the threshold that the clinical data identifies as effective. Kiwi should be eaten whole, not juiced. The juicing process removes the fiber from the fruit, and dietary fiber plays an important supporting role in the blood pressure-lowering effect of kiwi by slowing glucose absorption and preventing the insulin spike that can acutely elevate blood pressure. Whole kiwi also preserves the full matrix of vitamin C and polyphenolic compounds that work synergistically. Processed kiwi products, kiwi-flavored drinks, dried kiwi, and kiwi supplements do not replicate the bioactive compound profile of the fresh whole fruit and have not been shown to produce the same blood pressure outcomes. Green kiwi and gold kiwi varieties both contain the relevant compounds, with gold kiwi providing a slightly higher vitamin C concentration and a sweeter flavor profile that many seniors find easier to consume consistently. Either variety works for blood pressure purposes, and the one you will actually eat every evening is the right choice. Timing matters within the evening as well. Eating kiwi immediately before lying down allows insufficient time for the potassium and magnesium to be absorbed and enter active circulation before sleep onset. Eating it 30 to 60 minutes before bed, during the pre-sleep wind-down period, positions the bioactive compounds at peak absorption just as the body begins its transition into parasympathetic dominance and the initiation of the nocturnal blood pressure dip. Pairing kiwi with a small amount of unsalted nuts, particularly almonds or walnuts, provides an additional magnesium source that compounds the smooth muscle relaxation effect and helps stabilize blood glucose through the night, which supports uninterrupted sleep quality. Sleep fragmentation itself raises nighttime blood pressure, so anything that supports deeper and more continuous sleep indirectly amplifies the vascular benefit of the kiwi protocol. If this is connecting dots that nobody has connected for you before, please hit that thumbs up button right now. It helps this video reach someone else managing blood pressure and wondering why their numbers are not responding. It takes 1 second and it genuinely makes a difference. Here is the part most blood pressure content skips entirely, and it is the part that explains why so many seniors who try dietary changes for blood pressure feel only partial benefit and sometimes none at all. The mistakes that reduce the therapeutic effect of kiwi for blood pressure are not obvious, and most people making them have no idea they are doing anything wrong. Understanding these mistakes before you start is genuinely what determines whether you get the results that clinical research consistently documents or a significantly reduced version of them. The first and most common mistake is inconsistency. The blood pressure benefits of kiwi, like all dietary interventions for vascular health, are cumulative. They develop over 4 to 8 weeks of consistent daily consumption, and they do not accumulate from sporadic use. Eating kiwi 3 or 4 nights a week substantially reduces the measurable effect because the endothelial protection and electrolyte support that drive the long-term improvement require continuous daily input. The second mistake is substituting juice, dried kiwi, or kiwi supplements for the fresh whole fruit. None of these alternatives replicate the bioactive compound matrix of fresh kiwi, and none have produced the blood pressure outcomes documented in trials using whole fruit. The third mistake is eating kiwi with a high-sodium meal immediately beforehand. High sodium intake acutely increases the renal reabsorption of sodium that kiwi potassium is working to counteract, and the net effect is significantly reduced compared to when kiwi is eaten in a lower sodium evening context. The fourth mistake is expecting results in the first 2 weeks and giving up when readings look unchanged. The nocturnal blood pressure improvement from consistent kiwi consumption becomes clearly measurable around weeks 3 to 4 in most clinical data, and the full structural endothelial improvement that underlies the most durable reductions takes 6 to 8 weeks to manifest. Most seniors who abandon the protocol at day 10 are stopping precisely before the biological inflection point. The fifth mistake relates specifically to seniors on blood-thinning medications. Kiwi contains vitamin K and has mild antiplatelet properties. Anyone on warfarin or similar anticoagulant medications should discuss adding 2 kiwis daily with their physician before starting, as the consistent vitamin K intake may require a dosage review. Here is the bonus tip I mentioned at the start, and this is the piece that most content about kiwi and blood pressure completely misses. Kiwi provides a meaningful amount of magnesium on its own, but the blood pressure-lowering effect of kiwi is significantly amplified when combined with an additional magnesium source in the evening. The reason comes down to the way magnesium and the antioxidant compounds in kiwi interact at the level of vascular smooth muscle. Magnesium blocks voltage-gated calcium channels in smooth muscle cells, preventing the calcium influx that triggers arterial constriction. The antioxidant compounds in kiwi simultaneously protect the endothelial cells that produce nitric oxide, the vasodilating signal that tells those same smooth muscle cells to relax. These two mechanisms are complementary and additive. Magnesium reduces the constriction signal. Kiwi antioxidants strengthen the relaxation signal. Together they address both sides of the arterial tone equation in a way that neither does as effectively alone. The practical application is straightforward. Eating 2 kiwis 30 to 60 minutes before bed alongside a small handful of pumpkin seeds, which contain the highest magnesium concentration of any commonly available food, or alongside a small serving of almonds, provides a combined magnesium dose that research on nocturnal blood pressure consistently identifies as clinically relevant for seniors. A study in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that higher dietary magnesium intake was independently associated with a lower nocturnal blood pressure and a more pronounced nocturnal dip in adults over 60, even after controlling for other dietary and lifestyle variables. The seniors who saw the most meaningful improvement were those with the highest evening magnesium intake, which points directly at the pre-bed timing as the critical window for magnesium delivery. Pairing kiwi with a magnesium-rich food in the evening is not simply eating healthy. It is building a targeted, research-supported pre-bed vascular protocol that addresses nocturnal blood pressure from two complementary biological directions simultaneously. Before we get to what you can realistically expect week by week, I want to come back to the Heart Health Nutrition Guide in my Etsy shop because kiwi delivers its strongest blood pressure effect when the rest of your evening nutrition is supporting rather than undermining your vascular health. The guide covers the specific food combinations that amplify the blood pressure benefits of kiwi, the dietary patterns with the strongest research behind them for seniors, and the foods most people managing blood pressure eat regularly at night that are quietly making things worse. The link is in the description. Setting accurate expectations matters here because the timeline of blood pressure improvement from consistent kiwi consumption does not match what most people hope for in the first few days. Before you begin, commit to at least 45 days of consistent daily use with 2 whole kiwis every evening, eaten 30 to 60 minutes before bed. That commitment is not arbitrary. It is the minimum duration required for both the acute electrolyte effects and the progressive endothelial recovery driven by kiwi antioxidants to complete enough of their cycle to show up clearly and consistently in your monitored readings. In week 1 and 2, most seniors notice improved sleep quality and slightly more stable morning readings. The potassium and magnesium are supporting the nocturnal dip from the first night of consistent use, but the structural endothelial improvements that produce the most durable reductions in resting blood pressure have not yet had enough time to develop. Do not evaluate the protocol during this window and do not be discouraged by modest or inconsistent early changes. Biology is already working. It simply has not had enough time to produce a change large enough to be clearly visible in day-to-day readings. Many seniors find it helpful to keep a simple written log during this period, noting their morning reading each day so they can look back across the full 4 weeks and see the directional trend rather than reacting to individual readings that fluctuate normally from day to day. By week 3 and 4, most seniors who are tracking their readings consistently report that morning and nighttime readings trend clearly lower, with a growing proportion of readings falling within the normal range. The nocturnal improvement typically appears first because the pre-bed timing aligns the potassium and magnesium directly with the sleep window where they have the greatest biological relevance. By week 6 to 8, the full combined effect of consistent electrolyte support and progressive endothelial recovery is typically visible in home monitoring data, with average readings often 6 to 10 millimeters of mercury lower than at the start of the protocol. Seniors who combine the 2 kiwi evening protocol with the magnesium pairing tip consistently report improvements at the higher end of this range. Here is what I want you to take away from today. The best fruit to eat before bed to lower blood pressure naturally is not a random wellness recommendation. It is a specific, research-supported intervention with a clear biological mechanism, a documented dose, a precise timing rationale, and a track record in randomized controlled trials involving seniors with hypertension. Kiwi eaten consistently before bed, in the right quantity and with the right pairing, gives your cardiovascular system something it needs during the most important vascular recovery window of every 24 hours. High blood pressure in seniors is not inevitable. It is addressable, and the evidence supporting kiwi as part of that approach is as solid as it gets in nutritional cardiology. The seniors who see the most meaningful results are not the ones who try it for a week and reassess. They are the ones who commit to 60 days of consistent nightly use, track their readings faithfully every morning, and let the biological timeline work in their favor. That is the approach the clinical research reflects, and it is the one that produces the kind of improvements that genuinely change your cardiovascular trajectory rather than temporarily moving a number. Start tonight. Be consistent, and give the biology the time it needs to respond. If this video gave you a clearer picture of the best fruit to eat before bed to lower blood pressure naturally as a senior, and what you can start tonight to make a real difference, please share it with someone you know who is managing high blood pressure. So many seniors are looking for natural approaches and have never been given clear, research-backed options. Subscribe to Cardivive and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for trusting me with your precious time and your heart health. I will see you in the next video.